I'm 89 years old now, and my memory doesn't move the way it used to. It doesn't line up neatly anymore. Some years are gone completely. Some faces come back without names. But Christmas stays, especially the ones I missed. Um, I don't know why that is. Maybe because Christmas has a way of asking you to stop, and I didn't stop much in my life. Most days now are quiet. Too quiet, if I'm honest. The house makes sounds I don't recognize. Pipes clicking. The clock in the kitchen that I should have thrown away years ago, still ticking like it's keeping track of something important. Sometimes I sit and listen to it, just to remind myself that time is still moving, even if I don't move much with it. A few years ago, my granddaughter was here. She's grown now, too grown to think much about an old man sitting in a chair. She was dressed to go out, already late, checking her phone, pacing by the door. Christmas night. I could see it in her body, that impatience young people get when they feel pulled away from something they think matters. I told her I wasn't feeling well, that I didn't want to be alone. I asked her to stay. She didn't argue much, but I could feel it, the frustration, the sense that I had taken something from her. She stayed, but she stayed unwillingly, sat on the couch, scrolled through her phone, barely spoke. I hated myself a little for asking. The next morning, the news was on. I don't usually pay attention to it anymore. It all sounds the same after a while. But that morning something caught my ear. A story about a group at a party. A young person who arrived alone. A plan. The kind of plan you don't want to imagine. The details were ugly, even without saying much. And as I listened, it became clear enough to make my hands shake. She had been the one they were waiting for. Nothing happened because she didn't go, because she stayed home with an old man who said he didn't feel well. That feeling is hard to explain. It wasn't relief exactly. It wasn't pride. It was something heavier, like time folding in on itself, like a door opening to a room I hadn't visited in decades. Because suddenly, I was back in another Christmas. Long ago, when my parents were still alive, when my granddaughter was small enough to fall asleep on a couch without complaining, when I was young enough to think that Christmas was just a day you could move around if you wanted. I remember that night clearly now. I hadn't in years. Funny how memory works. I had plans, drinking plans, the kind that felt harmless at the time. I didn't have anywhere to leave the child, so I was going to take her with me. I told myself it would be fine. People did things like that back then. Or at least that's what I said to myself. My parents asked me to stay home. They didn't argue. They never argued much. They just asked. Said it was Christmas. Said the house was warm. Said we could eat together. Said there would be time for everything else later. I almost didn't listen. I remember standing near the door, coat on, keys in my hand. My daughter was tired. My father was sitting quietly. My mother was already setting extra food on the table, just in case I changed my mind. I thought they were being sentimental, old-fashioned. I thought they didn't understand how busy life was, how you had to grab moments when you could. I stayed, barely. Not because I suddenly saw the meaning of Christmas. Not because I felt holy or grateful. I stayed because it felt like too much trouble to argue. Later that night, violence broke out where I would have gone. A fight, police, someone seriously hurt. I didn't find out until days later. At the time, I shrugged it off. Bad luck, I thought, nothing more. But now, sitting in this chair at 89, I see it differently. That night spared my child. and it spared me. And I didn't understand that until decades later. Most of my life, I didn't miss Christmas because I was cruel or careless. I missed it because I didn't recognize it as something sacred. Not religious, exactly. Sacred in the sense that it asks you to stay, to be present, to choose people over movement. I always assumed there would be another one, another Christmas, another dinner, another chance to sit still. That assumption costs more than people realize. When you're younger, missing a holiday feels small. You tell yourself you'll make it up later. You'll call tomorrow. You'll visit next week. You'll slow down when things calm down. Things don't calm down. They just get replaced. Jobs change. Responsibilities shift. People age quietly while you're busy thinking you're standing still. My parents died without ever telling me they were disappointed. They never said I missed too much. They never made me feel guilty. That almost makes it worse. Because guilt you can argue with. Silence just waits. I think about my mother's hands sometimes. How she folded napkins. How she moved slower each year without complaining. I think about my father sitting at the table, listening more than talking. I don't remember what we talked about that Christmas. I only remember that we were there. And that's the thing. Presence doesn't feel dramatic while it's happening. You don't realize it's the whole point until it's gone. As the years went on, I kept missing things. Not just Christmas. Birthdays, conversations, moments when someone needed me to stay, and I thought being elsewhere mattered more. Nothing fell apart all at once. That's important to say. There was no single mistake, just a series of small decisions that leaned away from home. The damage didn't announce itself. It accumulated. A missed call, a delayed visit, a promise pushed forward. By the time I noticed the distance, it had already become normal. And now, at this age, distance is what remains. People think regret comes from big failures, from dramatic mistakes. For me, it came from assuming time was patient. Time isn't patient. It's quiet. It lets you believe you're in control until you're not. That night with my granddaughter brought all of this back, not because something bad happened, but because something almost did, and because it echoed a moment from my past that I had never properly honored. I realized something then that I wish I had known earlier. Protection doesn't always feel like kindness in the moment. Sometimes it feels like inconvenience, like being held back, like missing out. My granddaughter thought I had taken something from her that night. In truth, I had given her something without meaning to, without understanding it myself, just like my parents did for me. They weren't trying to control me. They weren't trying to trap me in tradition. They were offering shelter, the kind you don't see until the storm has passed. Christmas isn't something you attend. It's something that holds you still long enough to keep you safe. I didn't understand that when it mattered most. At 89, there are things that can't be fixed, conversations I can't have, apologies that no longer have a place to land, tables that will never be full again. I don't tell this story to punish myself. There's no point in that now. I tell it because I'm running out of time, and truth feels heavier when you know you can't use it anymore. If you're listening to this, I don't know where you are in your life. I don't know what you're busy with, or what you think you can postpone. I only know this. The moments that ask you to stay are rarely loud. They don't beg. They don't explain themselves. They just wait quietly to see what you'll choose. And if you miss them, they don't chase you. They let you go. At my age, Christmas is no longer about celebration. It's about memory, about mercy, about understanding that some of the things I thought slowed me down were actually the things keeping me whole. That night spared my granddaughter. That long ago night spared me, and it took me nearly a lifetime to understand what that meant. If this story stayed with you, even a little, that's enough. I don't need agreement. I don't need praise. I just wanted to tell the truth while I still can, because Christmas doesn't come to impress us. It comes to keep us